Hi there, this is Hajar, and I'm very happy. I'm very glad to be here today to present my research project. Although I wish to go live with you today, but sometimes opportunities don't come completed. Anyway, it is still an opportunity for me to present my research project, and I'm still happy and glad to present my research project, which I really did 1.5 years ago with Dr. Adil. I can't deny the fact that it was really a unique experience for me. Although it was a heavy course, research project was something heavy, but I really enjoyed it. I really get out of this course knowing a lot of things. I become knowledgeable on how we conduct research and why we conduct those researches and how I choose the topic, how I go step by step in presenting my research. So it was an experience full of knowledge, and I'm here today to transfer or to give you some of this experience, and I really wish that my presentation may or could make difference in your experiences later on. So for those who didn't take a research project yet, and for those who are taking it this semester, and for those who already done with this course, um, I wish that my experience my experience would or could add something for you. I don't know if I say my name. I'm Hajar Rashdi, and I'm educational student. Graduated this semester, and my topic, which I did in the research project, was about Black women issues as represented in literature. At the first, it may seem the topic may seem odd, may seem why specifically Black women, and if I am educational students, am I interested in literature and blah blah all this stuff. Actually, I am not interested at all in literature. I don't like analyzing text, analyzing novels, but I really love the field of humanities. So it could be related in a way or another to humanities, Black women issues, the idea of racism, the idea of injustice, the idea of the misconceptions of the societies upon this part of the society. So I tried hardly to find any interest in this topic, but at the end, I really felt proud of myself doing such a research project on this topic. So let us discuss the abstract. So my abstract was that my paper explored Black women issues that were portrayed in literature. Specifically, I chose two novels, which were My Story Slave Girl by Patricia and Beloved by Toni Morrison. My research was aiming at investigating the main issues of Black women that occur in the two novels, and that the two writers addressed in their literary works, and the literary works or literary devices, sorry, they used in order to portray the issues of a Black woman. Also, I examined the differences between the two novelists in addressing these issues, how they address them, what are their perspective, and put in mind that the two novelists are Black women. So I intentionally chose them because I want to see the harsh images of black women lives from the perspective of black women's. So of black women. So I want to see the issues of a black woman from the eyes of a black woman as well. This may give us real the real sense and the real feeling of the harmful and the harsh that black women go through. So in order to achieve my objectives, I chose those two novels. So my data collection method were thematic analysis. So analysis of the two novels based on themes, and the themes were the issues of a black woman that both novelists discuss, including the idea of racism, the quest for freedom, and black women issues in the workplace and education. As I found that the most harmful and the most harmful experiences of black women occur in these two fields, workplace and education. And then theme number two, was literary devices that were used by both novelists in order to portray the issues of a black woman. And the last thing I make I studied the main differences between the two novelists. My findings reveal that the two novelists, although they used different styles in representing the harsh misconceptions or the societal misconceptions toward black women, both had successfully represent the harsh images of racism, injustice, slavery, as well as they represent the impact of these ideas on a black woman, either their vocational or educational lives. So I know it has been too much talking about the abstract, but this is a brief summary of my research. Now let us go one by one to the to the part of my research. So first of all, I give you an introduction, then the literature review, then the methodology. I'll give you the results that I got. Then I'll give you some limitations and recommendations I really touched in my research, and the last thing, the references page. So, introduction. First of all, I have been talking about racism, inequality, injustice. So we all know that inequality, the idea of equality assumes that all human beings, women and men, black and white, are entitled to equal rights, right? So we are all the same. We are all equal. We are living in a world that is, we own it all. So there are no differences between us. There are no, even in Islam. Even in Islam, we have this. لا فرق بين أعجمي وعربي إلا بالتقوى. So ولا أبيض ولا أسود إلا بالتقوى. So we have this idea in our religion, and we have this idea within us as humans. But how does this idea of racism and inequality develop over generations? Historically, this idea and this concept is not new, and it has been practiced since 1,500 ago, when the European traders and explorers brought stories about the blacks to their mother countries. So it started from there, and day by day it expands, and actually we as societies, we are living in that in those ideas. We are touching them. We can feel that there are some sense of injustice around us. There are racism. There still be. We cannot deny the fact that sometimes we put borders between us as white and as blacks. We don't assume that this concepts have gone, it is still there, but time by time we start to realize that at the end of the day we are all equal and we are all same. Black women are one type or one part of the societies which experience those forms of racism, discrimination, injustice, and inequality, which greatly affect all aspects of their lives, so on, even their educational lives or their professional development. Then the idea of racism and sexism have become very significant issues, haunting many societies day and night. They start to separate. They obliterate humanity values. We as human, we don't look down at anybody. We are all equal, and we come up from. We are here to do something. We have the same goal at the end, and those ideas shape like an oppression system. Okay, so this oppression system are the black women are victimized by this system actually. And if we go to the historical background of literature, before 1960s, black women issues at the beginning of the last century were fundamentally neglected. So there were racism, there were injustice, there were a lot of these concepts and these practices, but actually there were no novelist, or there had been no show up in literature, so nobody represent their suffering in literature, or no one wrote about them, sorry. Then in 1960s, a movement started called the Black Power or the Black Art movement, and from there a great number of female writers, especially poets, has increased the contributions toward black literature by black women writer. So from here we start the black literature occur, or the black literature emerged from the 1960s. Then from 1970s, well-known names like Pampra, she wrote one of the most significant novels titled The Black Woman, that highlights black women's miserable lives. So here literature started to pay attention to those part or to those people, and it was from there the black women movement started and get a lot of it started from there, and it goes in literature. Then my research questions. So this is a brief summary of the introduction. So what I'm going to investigate in my research was what are the main aspects of black women's lives that Toni Morrison and Patricia addressed. So I want to discover the aspects, the main aspects. Then what kind of the literary tools they used in the portrayal, and what are the similarities and the differences between them. Although they have the same goal, but they have some similarities and some differences, which I really wish to investigate that time. About the literature review, there are a lot of literature, as I said, and from that time, literature has witnessed a lot of black writers who addressed black women's issues in literature. For example, here we have Castles. Castles 1930 asserts that racism against black women is a complex variable that we cannot easily describe, we cannot easily measure, and we cannot discover its roots. So he asserts that although we cannot say, or we cannot discover the roots of racism and injustice against black women, we can see that it exists in almost all countries and in various forms, threatening minorities community classification, social responsibilities, and human rights. So black women issues are there, and we can see them in our societies. Also, we have Gordon to offer defines racism as a system of injustice, cruelty, and oppression based on the rejection of racial differences, which include hate messages, discrimination, and understanding others, which can be found in different institutions and within individuals' thoughts, practices, and behavior. So here we go. The idea of racism starts from within. So if I develop this thought against black women or against anybody, here I am practicing some kind of injustice. I'm practicing some kind of oppression, racism. So the whole matter starts from within individuals. We have also in the late 19th century, black women writers and novelists were the first to discuss the issues of a black woman and to break down the silence that has been built around their lives. So black women issues started from there, from them actually, from the black women themselves. So they, because of the harsh lives they were living, they start a movement. They start to talk. They start to show up. They started um, to raise their voices, actually, to raise their voices to be heard. So we have some novelists like Alice Walker, which is a very well-known novelist. Toni Morrison, Maya Angelou. Those novelists reflect the misery of a black woman in their literary works. From there, many studies about black women issues has expanded topically in recent years, including the two which I am investigating, My Story, Slave Girl, and Beloved by Toni Morrison. In literature, also, black women were addressed in the workplace. So, how black women suffer in workplace? They are more likely to face work disadvantages. So many literature review that I have read say that black women were treated unfairly in the workplaces. They are more likely to face work disadvantages like higher rates of unemployment. Those they are not unemployed, they yani, unhired. They have if they work, they got low incomes and rewards and less chances for advancement positions, as well as insecure tough jobs. So they work in tough jobs that are not suitable for their physical ability. Also, black women education has been highly addressed in literature, and one of the most issues that black women face in education, that they are given less education opportunities because of their color and their race. And there are a lot of novelists, as I said before, who address the issues of a black woman. One of the most unique and well-known writer is Alice Walker. So she is a well-known black writer due to the broad themes that she addresses in her literary works, which reflect the story of the African American women and the diverse stereotypes, experiences of blacks, and the long struggle to overcome the racial misconceptions imposed by the white community. So she wrote a number of books, some of which were In Love and Trouble, Stories of Black Women, Everyday Use, and The Third Life of a Grand Copeland. And we have also Toni Morrison, which I am investigating, and I took her book, Beloved. She is another great renewed black woman who was the first African American woman to win the Nobel Prize, and her most famous novel was Beloved. Now, this is about the introduction and the literature review. Now, how did I investigate my topic? How did I answer my research questions? Actually, I used to analyze the two novels. So my methodology was based on a thematic analysis of two literary works, as I said before, My Story Slave Girl and Beloved for Marison. First of all, let us take a look about My Story Slave Girl. What is the story behind this? It is written by Patricia. This story is a diary written by Clotty. So Clotty was a young slave girl who lived in South Virginia in a plantation area. So through her diary, Clotty reflected the hard life she experienced while serving in her master house, Mr. Henley. So now we have a girl who is a slave girl, young slave girl, who is serving in her master house, Mr. Henley. Although slaves were banned from receiving education, Katy developed an interest toward reading and writing while working as a fana for her master's son during his private lesson. So she tried to privately learn because as a slave girl, she was prevented from taking education and from going to schools. So she started to take privately to learn writing and reading. Therefore, she secretly taught herself how to read, how to write, by participating, by practicing and working at the kitchen. And sometimes involved in what we call Spicy spent most of their times working at kitchen. She's all the time busy with the work at home. She involved in other jobs like doing so the whole idea that it was she was a slave girl, a young slave girl, and there were a lot of work but in her shoulder. So secretly she was learning how to read, how to write. So the sad story, or the sad end, is that although Katy continued to practice reading and writing, she failed in picturing the word freedom and understanding its true meaning. So when she was reading and when she was writing, she was learning a word freedom. So she failed to practice, or she failed to picture what does it mean to be free, because she was all the years slaved. She was as if she was put in a prison, and she was thinking, what does freedom mean? What does it? So later on, Clatty learning and diary was about to be exposed by the new teacher of her master's son. It was to be discovered. She was to be discovered, but surprisingly, the new teacher helped her, actually, instead of causing her harm. So he knew that she is studying privately, secretly, without her master's knowledge. So he tried to help her. Despite the fact that Clotty and the new teacher freed many slaves, she sacrificed her chance to be free in order to stay at Virginia and help more slaves. So when Clotty learned the idea or the concept of freedom, she tried to free as many slaves as possible, and she sacrificed her life, actually, by staying at Virginia in order to help more slaves. This is in short about My Story Slave Girl. And then we have Beloved for Marison. So Marison is a famous American novelist who is noted for her contribution in Black literature. She won the Nobel Prize, as I said before. Beloved is a well-known novel which won the Pulitzer Prize for Fiction in 1988, which is based on a real story. So Beloved is a real story of a black slave woman called Sitha, who escaped with her children from slavery after living under the hardship of being completely controlled by the owners. So imagine that you are owned by someone. This is the idea of slavery. You are owned by someone. Unfortunately, they were caught, so she tried to escape with her children. Unfortunately, they were caught by their master, and out of love, Sita sacrificed her little daughter to death. So she killed her daughter in order to prevent her from returning back to slavery and live the same tragic life that she herself led. So after seeing the mother killing her daughter, the master left her, believing that she became crazy. Who is this mother who can kill her daughter? So then Safi and the young daughter, they lived in Ohio, where they suffered from endless miserable memories of their lives as slaves. And look here at the ideas that even though you get away the idea of being enslaved by someone, you will carry the slavery memories in your head all the time, all your life. So this is what happened to Sita and her family. So she was also hunted by the ghost of her baby, the little baby. Then the young woman beloved, there is a young woman beloved appeared in the story, assuming that she is the lost child whose mother killed her. So as an attempt to alleviate her feeling of guilt, Sita tried to take care of beloved. So beloved is someone who suddenly appeared in the story. She assumed that she is the killed daughter, and Sita tried to take care of her in order to alleviate the feeling of guilt. Then Sita's mother-in-law, another slave black woman, who was forced to live under the law of slavery. She lost her faith on people. She became a comfort refuge for Safi and Denver. So this is a very miserable end for the family. According to the analysis, so the analyzed themes, as I said before, I took the idea of racism, the black woman in the workplace, black women's education, and the similarities and differences between the two. In short, I will explain them. First of all, the idea of racism appear in the two stories or the two novels. In my story, Slave Girl, the novelist significantly reveals her perspective toward the slavery. She fights its existence by reflecting the tragedy of slaves' lives. And there is a quote from the book: "It's not right for anybody to be slave." And there is also Clotty saying that I hate slavery so bad. So these are the ideas of slavery that occur in the novel, My Story Slave Girl. And in Marston's Beloved, the idea of racism and slavery is clearly highlighted as well. Blacks are mercilessly sold and sent to separate places, so they pay for selling slaves, and this results in the family distortion. And because slaves owners have to trade one for only $900 if they could get it, so they sell the slaves. There is no regard for motherhood, love, or family continuity. In fact, they are discouraged to ensure full independence on their owners. This is the idea of racism and slavery in the two novels. According to the workplace also, as I said before, that Clotty in the My Story Slave Girl were forced to work in high workload, harsh images of penalties when failing to perform work perfectly. So they are punished when they fail to perform the work perfectly. And also Merson discussed the same idea of blacks which are treated in the workplace. She clarifies in some parts of the novel that the blacks are forced into labor, so they work forcefully. They are indeed chained, beaten, tortured in other ways if they are disobeying. So this is a harsh representation of black women suffering in the workplace. Regarding the education, as I said before, that Clotty was not allowed to go to schools. This reflects how poorer slaves are in accessing education and how they are forbidden from receiving education. Beloved also shows that it's rare for slaves to be taught to read and write. Then I find some similarities and differences between the two novelists. As a researcher and a reader, I found that although both writers use different writing styles, they both use different literary analysis. Both succeeded in some way or another in touching the reader's heart, whether in the language they used or the existed aesthetic methods in the novel. So there are some imagery used by Morrison, not used by Patricia, but at the end they successfully represent the harsh images of black women's lives. Here we come to the conclusion and the limitation and recommendation of my study. First of all, the basic limitation that the study is not applicable in Oman. So we lack literature and we lack the resources. For me, at the beginning of doing my research, I was really very interested. I was excited that I will do something great regarding black women. Then when I returned back to Oman literature, I did find nothing about black women issues. Although you know that there are some kind of racism against them in our societies, we can't deny this fact, and I couldn't bring the study into the Omani context. So my recommendation for you, if you choose a topic, choose something that is applicable in your society, that is applicable in your country, that you can apply it in a way or another, that you can bring the topic and apply it in a specific area in Oman. It would be very great. It would be very interesting to do this. And my second recommendation, it's very important to choose a topic that you are really interested in. Okay, back to the beginning. I said that I really love humanities. I really love something related to human issues, and I really love to discover the roots behind racism and those things. However, I got tired searching about those. I really was interested in, but finding the resources, finding the methodology, the best methodology to achieve the research goals was challenging for me, because I chose a topic that is, first, as I said, not applicable in Oman. I cannot interview black women because I didn't know, but I couldn't do this. I couldn't investigate it in Oman. Although I am interested in the topic. At the end, I highly recommend you to choose something that you really love. That's something you see that when years pass, you will go back and benefit from this research. So choose a topic that you are interested in and a topic that is related to your field. For example, I'm an educational student, and I regret the idea. Why didn't I choose a topic that is related to my field? Now I'm a teacher, and I hope that I chose a topic related to students or related to education or related to schools. So now, as a teacher, I can see the practical part on it. Do you see this point? So choose something that is related to you. If you are a translation student, you choose something that is related to translation, but something at the same time you are interested in. So something you are interested in, and at the same time it is related to your field. You can benefit from two ways. These are some of the references that I use in my research, and deep thanks I send it to you for all those who are listening to me right now. I don't know if you get bored, but that was my humble experience in research project. Deep thanks for the conference organizers who gave me this opportunity to present my research. Unfortunately, I can't listen, or I can't get your questions right now. But if you have any questions, just you can contact me on either WhatsApp or my Gmail, or yeah, you can send also on Twitter. Thank you, and best wishes. Bye bye.